Good evening from Bali, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Oh my God, I'm back in Bali, and that's a long story to share with you, but I would today like to let you know that I'm interested in my usual themes of healthcare and education. And so here I am today, hoping to share my first short educational video with you, and this one is largely about feminine energy and intuition. And I wanted to start with this quote, which says, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." And this is so true. This is definitely what I definitely feel. And oftentimes this gift, I'll say, is largely from a feminine energy. And feminine energy, as you know, if you've been listening to my videos, is not limited to a female, genetically female person. It is an energy that's within all of us. And so I wanted to also make sure that a lot of times this quotation is misattributed to Albert Einstein, but it's not true that it wasn't actually by him. I want you to know that it was actually by an educator. Perfect for me. And it stems from an article by this educator named Bob Samples, but it does really mirror Einstein's comments about valuing imagination and experiential wisdom over narrow rationalism. So this is what I'd like to share in this video, that I can certainly say that my experience is very much about reconnecting with this feminine energy. And feminine energy, I wanted to share with you, this was just a bit of a summary that came up when I looked up how would you define feminine energy, and this is really well explained. It says feminine energy is centered around receptivity, flow, and the art of being rather than doing. Intuition acts as its guiding compass, a feeling-based knowing, which is rooted in bodily awareness. So this is rooted in bodily awareness. Somehow, sometimes we see that I know this is my next step. This is what I need to say. This is what I'm choosing to say. This is kindness. This is gentleness. This is truth. All of these things. It's more about knowing from this again, bodily awareness rather than from logical proof. And I wanted to make sure that we recognize that in society and in many of our lives, the masculine energy had actually, or has still, actually taken a lot of center stage. And so we put a lot of focus, consciously or not consciously, into masculine energy. And so I thought I'd make sure that you understand what is masculine energy then, if this is feminine energy. Masculine energy drives action, structure, strategizing, and feminine energy creates the inner space that is necessary for intuition to emerge. Now this inner space, sometimes we have this inner GPS, like I kind of know where I'm going. And this idea, it just suddenly might occur to us that, I can't explain why, but I need to do this. And I can tell you that this entire journey for myself through Canada and Indonesia has been this way, because again, as I mentioned, I've just come back from Canada, and it felt so wonderful to be back in Canada. And of all places, I went back to where I grew up, which is Edmonton, and it felt so good to connect with friends that I've known for years, and then family, of course, and then even see my old schools that I had gone to. And that was all the way until getting to university. My first degree was at the University of Alberta. There was such a nice feeling, even though Edmonton has changed a lot. Yet I was drawn to going there. And that my visa in Bali had finished by then. And so this was definitely a necessary trip to go back to Canada. Yet, why did I choose Alberta? Why did I choose Edmonton? And I can tell you that the amount that was experienced in Edmonton, Alberta, is perfect. There's no other word for it. It was so wonderful to be able to follow the same intuitive capabilities and trust in the universe for things that are unseen that I have been doing in Indonesia for some time, or had been doing, and then I continued in Edmonton. And what a wonderful experience, because again, I met some new people that were really fabulous. There's definitely a wonderful experience that I had just outside of a mall that I ended up speaking with this lady that was so nice. It was so unexpected. I didn't know her. She was a stranger. I was a stranger, and we just ended up chatting, but we couldn't get enough of chatting about the old Edmonton and how Edmonton has changed. And I mentioned that I just come back after a while, and she's been watching the changes happening. And yet we talked about some of the consistencies and even the kindness that we were sharing, and the fact that we could find kindness anywhere. And yet we had to be in that space too. So that was wonderful. I met a wonderful friend at one of the hotels, or the only hotel that I stayed at, and created this new friendship there too. And that was so unexpected and yet so perfect and so wonderful. And then, of course, communicating with a friend that I had actually worked with in my first job in Edmonton, Alberta, which was in retail. And it was wonderful to see her and her grown children, their partners, and her dog and cats, and again, her husband, and so many things there that were also very fulfilling. And then my parents, which again, I was able to go see a Rumi show with them. And all of this based on a day-to-day decision of who to be surrounded by in terms of what energy, and where to go in a particular moment, or day by day at least. And this is an intuitive sense, which I know is strengthening within me. I've often felt this energy when I've worked with clients in the past, yet as I apply it to my own life, I see that it really has shaped my own journey, and especially in the last many years, which I notice that I'm less in that masculine energy of go, 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 or it's kind of this knowledge-driven action, and it's more of this gentler, trusting action, which again, both are needed for our life experiences. Yet I believe that in the striving to get somewhere or do something, that's been the masculine energy. And the feminine energy is trusting that there is some divine alignment that happens within all of us if we choose to be there. And you know that I still continued my meditation regularly, so 2 to 3 times a day, and mindfulness, and my actions, my thoughts, words, and actions, and all of that was so helpful to have the experience that I did. Now, I could have never guessed. So if I had done a logical planning of this is what I want to do while I'm in Edmonton, and these are the XYZ things that need to be accomplished. Luckily, I'd say my dad was actually fantastic for things like that he's very structured that way. And my mom made sure that I was getting home cooked meals wherever I was, and that was lovely too. I was able to cook myself, so I got to do all the things that nurture me, and those things that need that structure, somehow the universe provided it. And I thank everyone who helped me in this time. I'm definitely grateful for all of the people that I was surrounded by in this time. But I'm especially grateful to the universe that brought, whether those people or this heart that brought me back to the space for something that needed to be experienced in this time. And it was absolutely perfect. Now, I want to make sure that I come back to why would I talk about all of this? Because most of us, and myself included, do not really trust that intuitive direction that we are often hearing in the background. But because this is what I have to do, these are the bills that I have to do, all the practical and material aspects of life take up so much of our attention that oftentimes we don't allow the space. But my history has often been that when I finish this, then I can do that. And now that I've been doing meditation, mindfulness so regularly, I can't imagine not having that as part of my experience. So that's always kind of the fundamental that starts my day, my days, my thought process, am I reflecting on what's happening? Am I allowing myself to sense if something is right or not right for my day. And I will say that one of the easiest things that we can all think about is when we're using intuitive energy to make our decisions or our next steps or even our next words, the things that we hear, are they nurturing us? The things that we speak, are we nurturing others? That's a feminine energy, and that needs that space, not a reactive energy. Reactive energy is very masculine, and we're used to that. So whether we're defending ourselves or whether we're fighting up for ourselves or standing up for ourselves, it's more of that masculine energy. And oftentimes that includes kind of an aggressive edge to it. And for often, so many people, if you're not louder, you won't be heard. Not true. I would say that there's a softness that people do resonate with. And this softness energy, this feminine energy, is also a global energy that is starting to resurface in the world. This softer energy allows us to be respectful with each other, compassionate with each other, kinder with each other, and slower with each other, so that we actually get to be present in each moment. Today, I want to let you know that yes, even when we move spaces, and this is certainly from direct experience, if we choose to be centered in the things that mean the most to us, that we value the most, those energies create the space and the foundation for everything we build upon there. And what we build requires some doing, so there is some action, but action that stems from a nurturing space is very different than action that stems from a hurried or rushed space. So today, I encourage you to tap into your intuition by giving yourself some mind space that allows things to flow smoothly, easily, and with much less effort than what masculine energy has trained us to do historically and certainly currently. Let's move back into a feminine energy. Feminine energy is also pulling us into a 5D reality as opposed to the 3D reality. I'll talk in future videos more about that too. For now, thank you for listening, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. And thanks for watching this first video back in Indonesia. Have a great day or night, everyone. Bye-bye.